do not see mental illness as actually an illness. बात करना ज़रूरी इसलिए है because जब आप बात नहीं करते तो आप isolated रहते हैं. There's nothing more powerful than speaking out.
In the process of selecting a life partner, do you think that these are actually the red flags?
There are signs then that, later on these things will continue and you may not like them. But sometimes because you're so madly in love, you tend to ignore them.
When you're going through depression, you become addictive to taking those sleeping pills.
Yes, it can add to depression. For the elderly, it's especially dangerous.
When they come to that position of power, people are unfortunately stuck to work in the same organization, despite the fact it affects their mental health as well.
यकीन होना कि जो मेरे साथ हो रहा है वो सही नहीं हो रहा. I don't deserve to be treated like this. The healing is within yourself. The answers are within yourself.
3, 2, 1. Thank you for coming over.
Most welcome. I'm happy to be here.
You've spent a great amount of time in the United States. You've practiced there for several years as a psychiatrist.
Yes.
And then you moved to Pakistan. Tell me a bit about your journey.
Okay. All right. So, yes, I have spent, I went for my training to the States, and I did my psychiatry residency, and then I did fellowship in child and adolescent psychiatry, because my love was psychiatry and pediatrics.
Right.
So I sort of combined the two. Anyway, so then I was in practice. और जैसे कि होता है कि बच्चे जब हो जाते हैं तो you start thinking अच्छा बच्चों के लिए क्या बेहतर होगा. And you're in touch with other Pakistanis, you're in touch with children who are having trouble. और जो वहाँ पर अक्सर होता है कि कुछ पाकिस्तानी पेरेंट्स चाहते हैं कि वो पाकिस्तान की तरह अपने बच्चों को रेस करें उन वैल्यूज़ के साथ और उन तरीक़ार के साथ. और वहाँ के बच्चे फिर जब स्कूल जाने लगते हैं तो वो अपने आप को अमेरिकन समझते हैं और उनकी ज़रूरत होती है कि वो अमेरिकन हो जाएं, because otherwise they are very different, and children don't like that. They want to be accepted by their peers and they want to do things, and that there was a clash. So we kind of thought about that and talked about that how do we want to raise the children, and we both agreed that we want to come back and raise our children here, and then let them decide once they grow up, once they're 18 or whatever age, if they want to go back and study there or whatever. But we want to give them that basic grounding here, so they get comfortable with this culture, and I think that was a good decision. One of the things that we laugh about is that the initial coming back to Pakistan was very tough.
Yeah.
Because, life has its sort of luxurious side. When you're doctors, you're working there, and it's comfortable, it's nice, right? When people would say to me, why do you want to go back? And one of the things was the children, but the other thing was that I just felt like I was not connected to people. The lifestyle there often tends to be very self-centered. You can do a lot for yourself, and you can enjoy life, and you can go on great vacations and things like that, right? But at least where I was, we were in a small town. I just didn't feel connected with enough people. Pakistan में ऐसा नहीं होता. Pakistan में आप चाहें या ना चाहें, आप लोगों से कनेक्ट हो जाते हैं. आपके इर्द गिर्द जो लोग हैं, उनके मसाइल हैं, उनका कोई बहन है, उनका it's like you're connected. You're connected to your culture, to your people, and I miss that, and I like that. So those were the reasons coming back, and we said to ourselves that we will not think about going back for 2 years.
Yeah.
Whatever difficulties come, we will just say, ये हमने decision लिया है, इसको 2 साल देने हैं to make it fair. And then after 2 years, if we just can't make it here, then we'll go back. So those 2 years were tough. They were really tough. I remember my son coming back from school and sort of saying to me, Mom, things are so dusty over here. Everything has dust. My desk is dusty. And so, I just looked at him, then I gave him a duster and I said, Beta, जाके साफ कर लो जहाँ पर तुम्हें जो डस्ट लग रही है, but this is the school you're going to.
Yeah.
This is how it is. So, you know, I mean, both lives have ups, you know, positives and negatives. You can't say कि वहाँ बहुत अच्छा था या बहुत बुरा था और यहाँ हर चीज़ बहुत अच्छी है, ऐसा नहीं होता. It's how you make it and how you take it, right?
And I'm sure like your decision to come back to Pakistan, it was also fruitful because probably you also maybe, did you realize that there was a lot of areas that required more reforms or more work compared to a developed society like America? Because in Pakistan, when it comes to mental health, there isn't enough awareness about it. And I understand that you're a founding member of Rosin as well. So how did that start?
So I'll tell you that although certainly there was an awareness that yes, there are certain things that यहाँ पर लोगों को जिनके बारे में नहीं पता और होना चाहिए, हाँ. लेकिन शुरू में जब मैं आई थी तो it was very much connected with my field. You know, so for example, I went to schools and talked about learning disabilities or attention deficit disorder, very much psychiatric oriented, right? So basically, you know, I'm a psychiatrist and that was my training and that was what I was focused on. You asked me what, you know, how I came into Rosin. So Rosin se pehle I was involved with another NGO and I was a founder member of that NGO as well. And that journey really started with somewhat of it was a personal journey. So it came about because of a personal trauma. And that personal trauma sort of made me self-reflect a lot. It made me start to question how society reacts to gender-based violence and how we as women react to violence, how the men around you react. So there was a lot of, you know, reading, self-reflection. It made me feel like, you know, how important it is to raise your voice, to speak up, to not be silent, no matter what the signals from society are that, you know, this is not something you talk about. I felt like, no, it is important to talk about. So because my training has really been, you know, I'm a psychiatrist, but my training has been very much based also on therapy, on psychotherapy. And psychotherapy is a lot about self-reflection and that journey of finding yourself. So ये सारी चीज़ें उस वक्त मुझे ज़्यादा समझ में आना शुरू हुई. So I can't say कि, you know, I came to Pakistan with this idea कि मैंने बहुत कुछ यहाँ करना है. No, it wasn't like that. I came here to practice psychiatry and certainly to raise awareness on things where I felt like ये psychiatric issues in लोगों में हमें awareness raise करनी है. But because of that incident, what happened was that I started really thinking about all of these things of social conditioning, what is society's message about violence against women, some of my friends, why are they reacting the way they're reacting, you know, all those things started coming into my mind. I started looking at what other women are doing, what's happening with women's rights. That's how I started coming into, you know, sort of got into this field. मुझे कोई NGOs के बारे में नहीं पता था, बहुत ज़्यादा activist मैं नहीं थी बिल्कुल भी. And then I started working with groups of women, sort of just got together a safe space for women to talk. And once when women started talking, they felt safe to talk about their issues. That's how then we started saying, you know, this has to be much more. This can't just be at an individual level. Yeah. Because so many women are facing these kind of issues. And then, of course, the question of why are we facing them? Why are we putting up with it?
Yeah.
Right? So, in some ways, Rosin bhi bahut organically, you know, Rosin ke bahut sare programs hain. So, you know, it sort of need जैसे आती रही, वो बनती गई चीज़ें. सो फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल हमारा जो बच्चों का प्रोग्राम है आंगन, वो इसलिए हुआ क्योंकि जब औरतें ग्रुप में बैठी और उन्होंने बात करना शुरू की अपने मसाइल की और जो चीज़ें उनको अफेक्ट करती हैं, उनके बचपन में क्या हुआ उनके साथ, तो अगेन एंड अगेन द इशू ऑफ चाइल्ड सेक्शुअल अब्यूज केम अप, which they had never really spoken about and which had a great impact on their life, on their relationships, right? So then we said, you know, this is an issue we have to talk about. We have to start raising awareness on that. So Angan came into being. At the same time, you know, when one goes through a sort of traumatic incident and your sort of your space is violated, and you feel like all men are really terrible. You get very angry with men.
Yeah.
But then as we were working and this process of trying to look at ourselves and look at others, and you realize that, you know, a lot of men around us are feminists at heart.
Yeah.
You know, they want to support women. Sometimes they don't know how to, but they do. And they're not all bad. And so we felt very strongly that men should be part of our work.
Right.
So we took men along, and then gradually this developed into a program in Rosen, which is called Hum Kadam, जो कि masculinities पे काम करता है, boys और men के साथ काम करता है. तो उसका focus ही वही है. Because we felt कि मर्दों को साथ लेके चलना है हमने. अलग औरतें सिर्फ अपने, ये सिर्फ औरतों के issues हैं ही नहीं actually.
Yeah.
ये इश्यूज सोसाइटी के इश्यूज हैं, और ये मर्दों को भी इफ़ेक्ट करते हैं. सो इसलिए बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम मिल के चलें इसमें, ना कि एक दूसरे के दुश्मन बन जाएं और एक दूसरे पे गुस्सा करें. एंड दैट डजंट वर्क, राइट. सो यू नो, इसी तरह जो हमारी हेल्पलाइन थी, वो भी जब हमने आंगन में काम शुरू किया तो एक अस मैगज़ीन आता था, पता नहीं आपको याद है कि नहीं, राइट. तो उसमें कुछ बच्चे लिखते थे अपने अब्यूज़ के इंसिडेंट्स के बारे में. तो उसके जो जवाब होते थे वो हमें लगता था कि नहीं, इसका जवाब कुछ ऐसा होना चाहिए था, ऐसा. तो हमने उनसे रिक्वेस्ट की कि आप हमें जवाब देने दें.
Right.
And they were kind enough to do that.
Okay.
So then it was that thing was called In Your Angan.
Yeah.
And we started answering, and then we realized that there were so many questions and so many misconceptions in children's and especially adolescents' mind about their sexuality, about their body, about their growing up, you know, and of course the abuse, right? So we felt like we had to have some kind of information where we could give them correct information, because इतनी ज़्यादा misinformation थी बच्चों के लिए, और उससे वो इतने anxious हो जाते थे. You know, they would write to us and say, you know, is this am I really going to go blind? Am I going to, if I do this or that, you know, those kind of things. तो इसलिए फिर वो शुरू हुई, और फिर you know हेल्पलाइन शुरू हुई. फिर हेल्पलाइन से it spread, you know, औरतों ने फ़ोन करना शुरू कर दिया, young adults ने फ़ोन शुरू कर दिया. So that's how that came about. So it's just sort of very organic, the way Rosen came about. And it's really beautiful. I think that one starts doing something, you really don't realize that how many people will then join you. वो दरवाजे खुलते रहते हैं मेरे ख्याल में.
Yeah, it's just, I think, about efforts, and I'm sure it might be like really fulfilling to bringing an idea to life.
It is. It's great.
And we were part of that campaign for Rosen where we developed those materials during the COVID lockdowns.
Yes.
And I remember the tagline, it just, you know, conveyed everything. It was baat karna zaruri hai. And I think it applied not just during COVID lockdowns, but generally for your mental well-being, whoever is going through it.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us like a bit about your experience during that unprecedented COVID lockdowns time, and what exactly that campaign was and what it meant?
As you totally will understand, वो जो ज़माना था कोविड का, we had never faced anything like that. And we had never faced anything so dramatic and so sudden, right? मतलब एकदम से दुनिया बंद हो गई, almost like, right? जिस दुनिया को हम जानते हैं. So I think कि शुरू में तो जैसे होता है किसी भी क्राइसिस में होता है कि आप फ़ौरन से जो immediate needs होती हैं उस पर फोकस करते हैं. कि लोग स्ट्रेस में आ गए तो यू नो हमने थोड़े से वीडियोस बनाए कि स्ट्रेस को रिलीज़ करने के लिए क्या करना है. फिर बहुत ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट होता है कि लोगों को एजुकेट किया जाए कि क्या चीज़ें नॉर्मल होती हैं. यू नो अगर आप क्राइसिस में होते हैं, आपको पता नहीं है, एक्चुअली इन्फॉर्मेशन इतनी नहीं है, लोगों को किसी को भी सही तरह नहीं पता था कब ये ख़त्म होगा, कितने देर चलेगा, कितना डेंजरस है, क्या करना है, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा था. तो यू नो उसके बारे में एक्यूरेट टाइमली इंफॉर्मेशन देना बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट था. फिर लोगों की जो इमीडिएट नीड्स थी, लोगों की नौकरियां बंद हो गई, घर में बंद हो गए लोग, खाना पीना ख़त्म हो गया लोगों के लिए. तो उसको that was the first step that one had to take care of. But at the same time we also realized कि ये चीज़ अगर चलेगी तो इससे जो vulnerable population है उस पर बहुत ज़्यादा असर पड़ेगा. And for that we were very much aware कि जब भी कोई किसी तरह का इस तरह का क्राइसिस होता है, कैलामिटी होती है, चाहे वो अर्थक्वेक है या फ्लड है, उसमें जो सबसे ज़्यादा इफ़ेक्ट, सभी इफ़ेक्ट होते हैं, लेकिन जो सबसे ज़्यादा इफ़ेक्ट होते हैं वो लोग होते हैं जो सबसे ज़्यादा वल्नरेबल हैं सोसाइटी में. सो औरतें और बच्चे जो होते हैं उन पर हमेशा तशद्दुद के जो इंसिडेंट होते हैं वो बढ़ जाते हैं. तो कोविड में भी हमें बहुत क्लियर था कि ये चीज़ बढ़ेगी. Incidence of GBV will increase. The violence against the people who are vulnerable. So for example, the people who are disabled, the people who are more poor, the people who are unemployed, but women and children in every category. So among the poor, who is the most vulnerable? Among the disabled, who is the most vulnerable, right? So if you look at that, women and children are there. So फिर हमारा बहुत फोकस जो था वो इस तरफ आ गया कि, and this was in collaboration with UNFPA, that we started saying कि okay, how do we get across our message? And we have to do it in various ways, because obviously आप फिर workshops तो नहीं कर सकते थे, लोगों को नहीं बुला सकते थे. तो उसके लिए बहुत से फ्लायर्स बने, और फ्लायर्स फिर हमने कोशिश की कि इस तरह बने कि पुलिस के लिए भी बने. पुलिस का क्या किरदार होगा इसमें, औरतों के लिए क्या फैसिलिटीज़ हैं, शेल्टर्स का क्या किरदार होगा इसमें. सो उस पे फ्लायर्स बने, और फिर हमने वीडियोस बनाए, एनिमेटेड वीडियोस थे जो कि ऑनलाइन डाले गए, फिर वो टीवी पे भी चले, रेडियो पे भी चले, फिर वेबिनार्स किए. और फिर एक जो चीज़ बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट थी हमारे लिए कि हमने पार्टनरशिप्स की विद अदर हेल्पलाइंस, ख़ास तौर पे गवर्नमेंट हेल्पलाइंस, कि उनसे भी पूछा जाए कि उनकी कैपेसिटी बिल्ड करने के लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं. हम एक दूसरे को अगर रेफ़र करेंगे तो क्या करेंगे. रेफरल के लिए शेल्टर होम्स क्या तैयार हैं इसके लिए कि नहीं हैं, उनके लिए SOPs बनाने की ज़रूरत है. सो we tried to cover all of these things, and I think we were successful. We got a lot of calls. हमारी हेल्पलाइन जो थी हमने उसको from 3 to 4 counselors, we expanded to 7 counselors. हम लोग वीकेंड्स पे काम नहीं करते यूजुअली हेल्पलाइन, मगर इट वाज 7 days a week from I think 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So the counselors were available, they had all their phones with them, and gradually शुरू में हमारे पास जो कॉल्स आती थी ज़्यादा कि हम खाना हमें कहाँ से मिलेगा या पैसे कहाँ से मिलेंगे. मैं ग्रेजुअली जैसे जैसे ये GBV पे बात होना शुरू हुई और साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज़ पे बात होना शुरू हुई कि मेंटल हेल्थ को ये कैसे इफ़ेक्ट करेगा, बच्चों की मेंटल हेल्थ को कैसे इफ़ेक्ट करेगा, एडोलेसेंस को कैसे इफ़ेक्ट करेगा, तो फिर हमें साइकोलॉजिकल इश्यूज़ के साथ और GBV केसेस हमारे ज़्यादा बढ़ना शुरू हुए. So all in all we got about 6,000 calls in from April to December or something like that. So I think that that did make a difference, and it made people aware कि ये issues हैं and it's okay to reach out. So बात करना ज़रूरी क्यों है? बात करना ज़रूरी इसलिए है because जब आप बात नहीं करते तो आप isolated रहते हैं. वो जो भी परेशानियां हैं आपकी वो आप पर हावी हो जाती हैं. Your emotions overwhelm you rather than your being in control of your emotions. To reach out to another person, to get the support of another, to just talk to another person. Maybe it's not even a counselor, but just somebody you feel comfortable with is really, really important. And of course, when it comes to issues of violence, there's nothing more powerful than speaking out for a person who has been a victim of violence. Because not only does it empower that person, it empowers the rest of the people who have been scared to talk or who have been through an experience. They may choose not to talk, but just to listen to someone else and say, this is out there now. It's not inside me, because when it's inside you, it basically has a power over you. But when I put it into words, when I write, that's why journaling is sometimes very helpful, because you put your feelings outside, right? When you speak to someone, you put the things in words. So it no longer has that kind of hold on you, that trauma. So it's really important.
So what I understand is that, Rosanbe, you also work in a lot of initiatives where you make people more self-aware. Tell me a bit about that.
Okay. So जवाद हम जब ये काम कर रहे थे, जो एक चीज़ हमारे बहुत सामने आई कि लोग skills सीख लेते हैं, राइट? वो बातचीत भी सब कुछ कर लेते हैं, जो कि they use the right words, they use the right language, right? But their attitudes don't change, right? And ultimately, real change comes when your attitudes change. So it is extremely important to start looking at, and why self-awareness? Because change first has to start with one's own self. The more I become aware of my own weaknesses and strengths, the more tolerant I am of yours, right? The more willing I am going to accept कि अगर आप में कोई weakness है तो मुझ में भी है, और अगर आप में कोई strength है तो मुझ में भी strengths हैं, right? So it allows us to connect to others. When you become self-aware, you also become aware of the social conditioning part, right? Why do I think like this? Why don't I like myself? Why am I always passive? Those questions really come out of self-reflection. And when you do them with a group of people, and we start listening to each other and saying, yes, the messages we got from childhood was, that you're not good enough, or तुम इतने, तुम्हारे कद को क्या हो गया, और तुम्हारे बाल क्यों इतने अच्छे नहीं हैं, and those are the messages I got, and I've just carried them with me. I've never changed them, I've never questioned them, right? So that is part of the journey of self-awareness, and really looking at attitudinal change. Because without that attitudinal change, you can talk absolutely great. You can have the knowledge. आप कॉलेज से पढ़ के आ जाएं आप. आप बहुत से लोगों को देखते हैं, बहुत सारी डिग्रीज होती हैं उनके पास, बहुत स्किल्ड होते हैं. लेकिन when you start interacting with them, you start saying कि they're sort of not really what they're talking about, and what they actually are two different things. They're not walking the talk, and you want to walk the talk. Right? And that's where your attitudes come. So both self-awareness की journey बहुत important है, before, to be able to connect, to be able to bring about real change.
And what do you think, why self-awareness is important to build that sort of confidence in yourself, and then to also overcome a lot of challenges in life in general?
I think to build confidence in yourself, again, self-awareness allows you to look at both aspects of yourself, right? So you become your friend, right? Self-awareness, in that journey of self-awareness, you're not just looking at all the things that are wrong with you. You're also, and that is really important. The other day I met somebody who's a young adult now, and she reminded me that one of the exercises we used to do for children was we had a box, and in that box was a mirror, and I would tell children, ये जादू का डब्बा है, और इसमें सब तुम्हारे सबसे best friend है, and that best friend is always going to be there for you. And then they would look inside that box and say, यहाँ तो मेरी शक्ल नजर आ रही है. And I would say, you are your best friend. You have to always be there for yourself, right? If we don't like ourselves, if we are constantly rejecting ourselves and critical of ourselves, it's very difficult to be there for other people. Because then when we are there for other people, we are really doing it for a selfish reason, because we want them to like us, because we don't like ourselves, right? But when you like yourselves and you're comfortable, right, then you're giving and you're helping and you're supporting out of an open heart, because that makes you feel just, it's a good feeling to connect, right?
And generally, what advice do you give out to people who struggle to mute that chatter going on in their head all the time? Who's critical, who's telling them constantly that they're not good enough?
Okay, so I tell them to be very aware of your thoughts. Okay, a lot of times people are just aware of their feelings. So they'll come to us, I'm feeling sad, I get very angry, I'm depressed, right? And behind every feeling there is a thought. So I tell them it's not possible to have feelings without thoughts. So tell me about your thoughts. And your thoughts are usually, I'm not good enough. Okay, and I'll say, where's the evidence?
Right.
Tell me, okay, are you not good enough at everything in the whole world? Is there nothing at all, not even one thing that you do that's good, right? So it's like challenging these negative thought patterns that we get into, these core beliefs that we carry with ourselves. कि अगर मैं perfect नहीं हूँ तो मैं कुछ भी नहीं हूँ, right? So वो चीज़ें हमको question करनी होती हैं. So we start questioning our thought patterns and our negative thoughts and these automatic thoughts that we have, and realize कि ये खोखले हैं, right? There's no evidence.
So I was reading this book, Dr. Joseph Murphy की book है Power of Your Subconscious Mind. So there was this interesting thing that he mentioned about is that whatever we constantly tell ourselves, and if we tell ourselves with conviction, our brain sort of like accepts it.
Yeah.
So it's just about, what story we are telling to our subconscious brain, that who we are and how we operate.
Yes, you're right about that. I mean, if you're constantly telling yourself you're no good or you'll never succeed, then that will actually come true, because your thoughts affect your feelings affect your behavior. Okay, so if I say to myself, I'm not, nobody really likes me, then I will actually start feeling sad and not so motivated to go out, and my behavior will be I'll rather stay home and not interact with people. So in some ways, yes, you're right, that if we give ourselves positive messages, that does impact how we behave and how we feel.
And so when we talk about gender-based violence, it's not just the physical violence that we are talking about. It also includes the mental torture that you get, and all sorts of things that harms your mental well-being, right?
Absolutely.
Can you tell a bit about that?
Absolutely. So yes, you're right. A lot of times people think of violence as physical violence, नहीं वो जो मारता तो नहीं है, but violence, there are so many sort of ways in which violence is perpetrated, right? I mean, if you stop someone from working, or if you stop someone from going out and say, तुम जा नहीं सकती हो, तुम ड्राइविंग नहीं सीख सकती हो, तुम्हें फ़ोन हम नहीं देंगे, right? तुम्हें हम एजुकेट नहीं करेंगे, या for instance, the economic violence of, this is the money that you get and that's all, and even if you earn money yourself, that money is coming to me. So psychological violence of bullying, of threatening, of humiliating, sexual violence. So there are so many varieties of violence in our society. All these things of जो हमारे customs हैं, वट्टा सट्टा और swara, or all those kind of things are all forms of violence, right?
So when it comes to gender-based violence, do you think that we are stuck in a vicious circle somehow, और क्या वजूहात है कि जिनकी वजह से अभी तक we haven't been able to sort of like overcome these issues in the society?
I feel कि हम ये नहीं कह सकते हैं कि हम कुछ भी नहीं कर पाए. आई थिंक अवेयरनेस ज़्यादा हो गई है, ज़्यादा आवाज़ औरतें उठाती हैं, मर्द कुछ सेंसिटाइज हो गए हैं, लॉज कुछ अच्छे बन गए, सो पॉजिटिव थिंग्स हैव आल्सो हैपेंड. लेकिन जो कि बेस है, जिसको कहेंगे कि रूट कॉज है gender-based violence का, is really got to do much more with violence, with power and control, right? कि अगर एक सेक्शन ऑफ द सोसाइटी के पास ज़्यादा कंट्रोल है, ज़्यादा पावर है, एंड पेट्रियार्कल सोसाइटी मर्दों के पास है, तो उसको चेंज करना मुश्किल है. वो बहुत आहिस्ता आहिस्ता हो रहा है. और दूसरी जो बात है वो ये है कि जो सोशल कंडीशनिंग है हम सब की, चाहे वो मर्द हैं चाहे औरतें हैं, वो भी चूँकि हमारी घुट्टी में पड़ जाती हैं चीज़ें, right? So they impact every aspect of our life. Okay? So it is not just कि एक मर्द इंडिविजुअल लेवल पर कुछ कर रहा है. अगर आप उसको कहीं भी देख लें, आप उस पर देख लें कि अगर एक औरत की शादी हो रही है, बच्चे की शादी हो रही है, तो उसको माँ बाप क्या कहेंगे कि अच्छा बेटा अब ये घर तुम्हारा नहीं रहा, तुम अब वहाँ वापस मत आना। या अगर वो कुछ कंप्लेन करती भी है तो पेरेंट्स, बहुत से पेरेंट्स कहते हैं कि बेटा अब वो तुम्हारा घर है, वहीं पर संभालो, यू नो। सो देयर इज़, यू नो, नेबर्स क्या करते हैं, अगर इफ़ दे हेयर somebody being beaten up, a woman is being beaten up, what will they do? You know, आपस का मामला है मियाँ बीवी का, हम क्यों पड़ जाएं इसमें, राइट? पुलिस क्या करेगी? पुलिस इज़ ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ आवर सोसाइटी, राइट? उनके भी तो वही मैसेजेस हैं ना कि भाई ये ठीक है, वो औरत क्यों नहीं सुन रही थी उसकी बात, उसने रोटी क्यों ख़राब कर दी या वट एवर एल्स, राइट? वो भी उस तरह के माइंड सेट के हैं। फिर जो यू नो हमारे लॉज इम्प्लीमेंट हो रहे हैं, सो एट एवरी लेवल patriarchy affects social condition, affects the way we think, the way we act.
Yeah.
And so it's a very deeply entrenched problem that we have to dismantle, you know, almost like बहुत हमें तेज़ी से इस पे काम करना है। और जहाँ पर हम मेरे ख़्याल में कामयाब नहीं हो रहे हैं वो ये है कि हम जिस तरह अपने बच्चों को एजुकेट कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि ये चीज़ हमें बचपन से शुरू करनी है। ये आप एक 25 साल के मर्द के लिए कह देना उससे कि बेटा अब तुम खाना बनाना शुरू कर दो, मुश्किल हो जाता है। लेकिन अगर एक आप 4 साल 5 साल के बच्चे को कहोगे बेटा बहन के साथ आप भी करो ये, या आप आज तुम्हारा ज़िम्मा है बर्तन उठाने का मेज़ से, और कल बहन का है, राइट? तो आप वो चेंज उस लेवल पर लाएंगे। या हमारे स्कूलों में अगर ये बात होना शुरू हो जाए कि औरत भी वही काम कर सकती है जो मर्द, यू नो, लाइक कभी छोटे बच्चों के साथ मेरा वास्ता पड़ता है, यू नो, तो व्हेन आई एम टॉकिंग टू अ ग्रुप ऑफ चिल्ड्रन, यू नो, आई से अच्छा व्हाट डू यू वांट टू बी, तो यू नो अ गर्ल वुड से आई वांट टू बी अ पायलट, एंड देयर वुड बी अ बॉय हु वुड पाइप इन एंड से लड़कियां तो नहीं पायलट बनती, राइट? Right? And then of course we have to say, of course banti hai, and things like that. So, you know, you have to start at that level, that, you know, yes, women can do all of these things and men can also do all of these things. So we don't have to get sort of slotted out in these compartments.
Otherwise, I think like otherwise these social conditioning is so deeply rooted.
Yes.
That I was just thinking, like in my case, I was once meeting my sister who came to meet me, और वो वही हमने आई थिंक रिपीटेडली ख़वातीन को इतना समझा दिया ना कि ये उनका ही काम है कि लाइक आफ्टर यू नो we were done with the dinner, so she just started to sort of like remove it and work on that.
Right.
So I think like agar if we start at an early age, so there is more likelihood that by the time those kids they grow up, to society as a whole, it would be a very different society.
Bilkul. I think parents have a role to play in this. Fathers have a great role to play in this. So do mothers, and so do our schools. Our schools must be much more focused on this. I feel very sad because हम constantly बच्चों को overload कर रहे हैं with all kinds of different knowledge, but we are not teaching them these very, very important lessons of life. Of tolerance, of being able to speak their minds, of being creative, of putting up with differences, of knowing what gender is all about, all these things. So important.
And so all of these things that you've mentioned, what do you think, like at an individual level, when you're in the process of selecting a life partner?
Yes.
So what sort of signs that you should look for? Because like all of these things that you've mentioned about, in some form, especially when you're growing up, you might see it as a sign of, affection. But do you think that these are actually the red flags that how the partner that you're thinking to build a life with could actually, be somebody who you may not be happy with? So
yes,
थोड़ा सा like बताएं, like if on both sides. So if you're a woman, for example, what sort of signs that you could look for that should actually ring bells?
It's a very individual choice who you want to marry, right? It depends on your personal needs and what you feel the other person is fulfilling, right? But I think the red flags that you talk about are really, because especially if you know the boy or the girl and you've been meeting them, there are lots of red flags. So a lot of girls, for instance, will talk about the possessiveness, right? About the suspicion, about sort of, my boyfriend or my fiance has said, तुम्हें काम करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, मैं जो हूँ तुम्हारे लिए मैं प्रोवाइड करूँगा ना. And things like, तुम कहाँ थी, तुमने फ़ोन मेरा क्यों नहीं उठाया. So that kind of possessiveness, or I don't like this what you're wearing, why can't you wear something like this. Those are, again, these are just things that you need to address if they bother you, which hopefully they should, or that, because there are signs then that later on these things will continue. And you may not like them. But sometimes, because you're so madly in love, you tend to ignore them. And you tend to say, nahi, theek ho jayega ye. And this is just a sign of his love. If he's wanting to know every minute of where I am, or he doesn't want me to talk to so-and-so or such and such, that's because he loves me so much. But that's not really true love, right? When you truly love somebody or appreciate somebody, you allow them to be the person they are, and hopefully you grow with each other. You contribute to growth rather than putting somebody down and stopping that growth in that individual, right? So I think वो signs हैं. और फिर लड़कों के लिए, again, it depends on the kind of girl that you like. But if you feel like somebody is very attention seeking and wants your attention constantly, and again is extremely jealous or very possessive, or is into things that you perhaps would not want them to be in, then maybe those are things you want to talk about, right? Like you want to talk about the fact that, will it be okay for me to work? Will you be comfortable with me if my job requires me to travel? Would that be okay with you? How do you feel about having children? Do you want a family or not? What kind of, how do you want to raise your children? I think those are important things to talk about. What are your values?
And I was also reading somewhere that a child's personality is formed by the age 4. And interestingly, I was also reading somewhere that when you look out for a partner, you should actually look what sort of childhood they had. If somebody had a loving childhood, they're more likely to be more flexible in their relationship. But if somebody had a lot of traumas, if somebody grew up in a household that was more toxic, then that person, no matter what affection or love you give, they're going to reject it, and it will be very difficult to bring that harmony into the relationship. So, what in your practice, what do you think, how those childhood traumas are linked to your relationships overall, and how they reflect when you're actually in a relationship?
So I feel like certainly your childhood experiences are very important, and they do impact us. So for example, if we talk about child sexual abuse, right? Or we talk about gender-based violence, and you look at men who are abusing, you may go back and look at the history and say, well, there was abuse in that family, or those children or adolescents or young men who are abusing children, or men who are abusing children, were often abused themselves. As children, okay? So there's no doubt that childhood experiences are extremely important, but I don't quite buy into the fact that people don't change. Okay, we all change, and I feel like the important thing is to be aware that these are things we want to work on, and to accept that कि ये चीज़ें मुझ में हैं जो कि अच्छी नहीं हैं, ये and to connect back perhaps to our childhood, that these are messages that we got or things that we saw that I don't want. So you will also have men who have come from abusive households where they saw their mothers being beaten, who would never raise their hand on their wives or their daughters or any woman, right? So it's not like कि हम एक stamp लगा सकते हैं और कह सकते हैं कि इनका trauma इतना ज़्यादा था तो these are now rejected people. We won't have anything to do with them. But certainly, you know, the family you grew up in, the environment you grew up in, they do have an impact. But it's again a question of how self-aware a person is. How much do you want to really look at yourself? How much do you want to grow? How much you want to change? Those are very important factors.
Coming back to gender-based violence, what do you think when there is GBV involved into a household, किस तरह से एक family को affect करती है gender-based violence?
I feel कि अगर हम अलग-अलग लें, जैसे अगर हम कहें कि अच्छा एक माँ है, एक बीवी है, उसको कैसे affect करती है. So I feel कि you know gender-based violence के जो impact है वो हर उसकी ज़िंदगी के हर facet को affect करेगा. Okay, I mean there can be physical effects of violence, you know, किसी चोट लग सकती है, bruises हैं आपके और किस्म के प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकते हैं. आपके साइकोलॉजिकली आप पे जो इम्पैक्ट होता है वायलेंस का, ह्यूमिलिएशन का, वो आपके सेल्फ इस्टीम पर होता है, आपके कॉन्फिडेंस पे होता है, डिप्रेशन होना शुरू हो जाता है, एंग्जाइटी होती है, पैनिक अटैक होता है. सो ऑल ऑफ दीज साइकोलॉजिकल इम्पैक्ट्स यू हैव, राइट. इट ऑल्सो इम्पैक्ट्स द वे यू वर्क, द वे यू मदर, राइट. कि ये भी हो सकता है कि आप, क्योंकि आप अगर डिप्रेशन में चले जाएं तो आपकी मोटिवेशन ख़त्म हो जाती है, आपका इंटरेस्ट ज़िंदगी में ख़त्म हो जाता है, तो आपका बच्चों में जो एक इन्वॉल्वमेंट होती है या बच्चों को जो ज़रूरत होती है एक माँ की इन्वॉल्वमेंट की, वो कम हो जाती है. या जो गुस्सा होता है जो कि निकल नहीं पा रहा जहाँ पर निकलना चाहिए, जिसने वायलेंस किया है उस पर तो आप गुस्सा कर नहीं पाते हैं, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली देयर इज़ रिस्क इन्वॉल्व्ड इन दैट. सो फिर वो गुस्सा कहीं और निकलता है, तो हो सकता है कि फिर अक्सर वो बच्चा वो जो गुस्सा होता है वो बच्चों पर निकलता है, which again the woman feels horrible about, because most mothers don't like to do that, and they feel guilty, and they again it sort of perpetuates that cycle of feeling that, you know, I'm not worth anything. You know, there's something really wrong with me. So I think that it affects, and if they are working outside the home, obviously, again, it's going to impact them. Now, again, we always think that this kind of violence only affects women because they're the victims. Majority of the times, women are the victims of violence. But I often talk about the fact that, you know, when a person is the perpetrator, and I'm not at all saying that, you know, violence doesn't happen to men. So certainly men also experience, boys and men also experience violence. But what I'm saying is that when you are the perpetrator of violence, what does it do to you as a person?
Yeah.
Right? I think it also impacts you, because this constant need, you know, if you talk about, you know, why, what's the basis of violence, you know, what's the root cause of violence, so a lot of it has to do with the way men are told to be in our society, right? Because of patriarchy, because of this definition of masculinity that has come about, that, you know, masculinity means कि आपको हमेशा कंट्रोल में रहना है, आपको हमेशा ताकत अपने हाथ में रखनी है, बीवी के नीचे मत लग जाना, that kind of stuff, right? So imagine that you're carrying that burden with you. And then, of course, because you want to be in control, because you want to be powerful, then you will exert that power on the woman through violence if need be, or if you feel like that's what needs to be done. And anything that goes against your wishes, you feel like that's your response. Okay, you know, maar peet karni hai ya. Now, that kind of person then would find it very, very difficult to show themselves as vulnerable. They would find it very, very difficult to say कि मुझे भी कभी comfort चाहिए, मैं भी कभी hurt हो जाता हूँ, मुझे भी किसी चीज़ से डर लगता है, मैं भी stress में हूँ. So वो कभी उस पर बात नहीं करते हैं. मर्द अक्सर इन चीज़ों पर बात नहीं करते जिसका असर उन पे बहुत होता है. Okay, so men tend to have, a lot of stress in their lives, but they don't know how to reach out for help.
Yeah.
Because they feel like that, of course, how can a man do that? How can a man ever cry when you're not supposed to cry? You're not supposed to show you're weak. So in some ways, it takes out the humanity out of a person when you're constantly using power and control as your means of relating to other people who are less powerful than you, right? So I think it affects men as well. And of course, children are affected very much because, like you were saying, childhood experiences have a great impact on children's personalities and the way they trust people, the way their relationships go about, right? So, for example, a girl growing up in a household where she is used to her father abusing her mother and she's used to the mother being passive and accepting it, will feel like that's the way to be. And she may marry someone who is just as abusive, but she will say, मेरी माँ भी तो सहती थी ना, तो मुझको भी सहना ही है, right? Or she may go the other way and say, I hate all men. I really don't want to get married. I don't want to have anything to do with men. And the first time that she has a conflict with a boyfriend, she will say, no, you're like the others. I really don't want to have anything to do with you. I'm not going to put up with this, right? So you can go the other extreme with a lot of anger and a lot of hatred without giving the other person a chance to sort of clarify things, right? Similarly with boys, boys can also, if they identify with their father, they will feel like that's the way to be a man. So if I want to be a man, I need to be like my father. I need to exert that control. I need to make sure my wife doesn't start talking back to me and sort of having her point of view in the conversation, right? I need to be the one who's always right, who should be listened to. I'm the authority.
And I think like jo recent times mein, the shift that we have seen from previous generation to this generation, there has been like a lot of change now, because like women are more empowered. So for men, they have probably seen a household where the fathers were more in control, but when they don't see that happening in their relationships, they feel that this is maybe unusual.
Absolutely. So I think you're right. You see, what the issue over here is that men have always been the privileged class, right? They have always had the power. They've always had the privileges. Women have not. So women are now becoming much more aware of their rights, and they want those privileges. They want their rights that they feel they deserve, and they absolutely do. Men, on the other hand, if they have to change, have to give up some of those privileges. It is always harder to give up the privileges. It is always harder to start thinking, why do I have to listen to the other person? I'm not used to that. So, for instance, as women have started working outside the home, more and more women are working outside the home, they are really carrying double burdens, because मर्द उसी तरह के हैं. वो समझते हैं कि उनका काम सिर्फ बाहर से पैसा लाना है, घर में उनका काम नहीं है, उन्हें खाना नहीं बनाना, उन्हें बर्तन नहीं धोने, उन्हें सफाई नहीं करनी है, ये तो औरत का काम है. औरत जो है वो बाहर से कमा के भी ला रही है, और वो घर में आके फ़ौरन से फिर चाय भी बनाएगी और फिर खाना भी बनाएगी और सारा कुछ वही करेगी, राइट? क्योंकि वो तो औरत का काम है, राइट? तो मर्दों को ज़्यादा मुश्किल हो रही है इस चेंज में. औरतें ज़्यादा अवेयर हो रही हैं अपने हुकूक के बारे में, और वो बात भी ज़्यादा कर रही हैं। और जैसे जैसे सोशल मीडिया है, टीवी पे भी चेंज आ रही है, आपके जो एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स हैं उनमें भी अच्छी अच्छी चेंजेस आना शुरू हो गई हैं। अब सिर्फ औरत ही चाय बना के नहीं देती है, मर्द भी कभी कभी नज़र आ जाते हैं चाय बना के देते हुए। तो आई थिंक कि ये सब चीज़ें हो रही हैं. It's a slow change, but it's a very welcome change, and I wish that men would understand that ultimately it's going to benefit them, because this is a partnership. If we can share the responsibilities, we will both be happier. Men will also be happier. ठीक है, आपको थोड़ी सी privilege देनी पड़ रही है औरतों को, लेकिन ultimately you are going to be more of a complete human being. You will be able to put your feet up and relax and not constantly be stressed and hyper and pushing and aggressive and always wanting to make sure that you're one up. Yeah. You don't have to do that.
And do you think like it has also to do with the way men are raised in Pakistan in particular? Because I think a lot of life skills we don't even get to learn that.
Exactly.
I know some of people जिनके लिए उठ के पानी का ग्लास पीना भी जो है ना वो बड़ा मुश्किल काम होता है.
बहुत ज़्यादा.
Let alone खाना पकाना या अपने कपड़े धोना. Like it becomes very difficult to actually even take care of yourself.
You're absolutely right, and I think उसमें ये जो social conditioning जिसकी हम बात करते हैं कि society आपको किस तरह रेज करती है, किस तरह के messages देती है, उसमें हम औरतों का भी बहुत बड़ा हाथ है. बहुत सी माएँ अपने लड़कों को कहेंगी, बेटा तुम किचन में क्या कर रहे हो, बहन से कहो ना. राइट, ये बहन का काम है, तुम क्यों कर रहे हो. या लड़कियों को कहा जाएगा आप बाहर नहीं जा सकती हैं, भाई को साथ लेके जाओ, चाहे वो भाई 5 साल का ही हो, लेकिन भाई साथ जाएगा तो ठीक हो जाएगा. तो ये सब चीज़ें, क्योंकि सोसाइटी में जब हम रहते हैं मर्द और औरतें, तो हम दोनों कंडीशन होते हैं. तो बहुत से मैसेजेस जो मर्द को जाते हैं वो यही जाते हैं, लड़कों को जाते हैं कि भाई तुम्हारा काम ये नहीं है, ये औरतों का काम है, सिर्फ औरतों ही को करना है, और अगर तुम करोगे तो तुम्हारी मर्दानगी पे बहुत बड़ा धब्बा आ जाएगा, कुछ बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा. Obviously then they grow up with that and it becomes difficult for them to give it up and to change it.
And when it comes to mental well-being overall, do you think that there is still, I'm sure like we have come a long way in understanding what sort of mental health issues can be, but there is still like lack of awareness about things like postnatal depression, or generally what depression is, what panic attack is. We use these words very commonly, but I don't think that we understand what exactly the other person is going through when they're going through depression. So can you tell a bit about what sort of condition you are into when you're going through depression?
अच्छा, इससे पहले जो एक जवाब है, what I would like to point out is कि mental illness in general, ख़ास तौर पे depression, anxiety, postnatal depression, इस तरह की जो चीज़ें होती हैं ना, a lot of times people they do not see mental illness as actually an illness, right? जैसे कि अगर कोई फिज़िकली बीमार होता है ना, तो हम फ़ौरन से समझ जाते हैं, अच्छा इनको डायबिटीज़ हो गई है, इनका ब्लड प्रेशर रेज हो गया, इनको दवा की ज़रूरत है, इनको डॉक्टर के पास जाने की ज़रूरत है. जब लोग डिप्रेस्ड होते हैं या वो एंग्जाइटी उनको होती है, तो लोग ये समझते हैं कि ठीक है, अपने विल पावर से क्यों नहीं ठीक कर लेते, जस्ट गेट ओवर इट भाई. What's this whole thing about staying at home and not wanting to meet people, and I'm not interested in anything, and I don't want to get up in the morning. What's all this? Just get your willpower going. So people don't understand that it is an illness, just like a physical illness. उसमें आपके ब्रेन में, आपके जो chemicals हैं आपके body में, सब में changes आ जाती हैं. And it's, depression, somebody once said, depression is like you're looking at the world through tinted glasses. Everything suddenly becomes, whether it's the blue tint glasses, हर चीज़ आपको blue नज़र आना शुरू हो जाती है. वही चीज़ें जिनको आप you felt very passionately about, you feel like इनका क्या फ़ायदा है. You lose interest in things, आपका खाना पीना disturb हो जाता है, आपको रात को नींद नहीं आती है, आपका दिल किसी चीज़ में नहीं लगता, आपको अपने आप में कोई चीज़ अच्छी नहीं लगती, you feel hopeless, you feel helpless, you feel worthless. You know, you just want to die. Feel like, what's the point? Right? I mean, it is very, very severe. And it is an illness. So it has to be treated. Now, अगर हम यही सोचते रहें कि नहीं ये तो अपने विल पावर से ठीक हो जाएगा, तो obviously people will not reach out for help because they will not see it as something that, and a lot of times I see families not agreeing. खुद क्यों नहीं ठीक, you know, if especially young लोग होते हैं, they want to get help, they're more aware in a way, but you know their families will say, you know, there's no need to be going to a mental health professional.
Yeah, because like there would be some, you know, stigma attached to it. क्योंकि अभी भी we see seeking for help as a sign that your kid is probably going crazy or your partner is going crazy. So वो acceptability भी easily नहीं आती, right?
बिल्कुल नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं, बिल्कुल. And you know वो label लग जाता है ना कि you know ये तो psychiatrist के पास गए.
Yeah.
So that becomes an issue as well. और जो इसका दूसरा एस्पेक्ट है कि जो जैसे आपने postnatal depression का जिक्र किया. Postnatal depression is an entity and it affects a lot of women and it can be very, very serious. So, you know, it can get to the point where the mother feels like she's going to hurt her child.
Yeah.
It can turn into psychosis, postnatal psychosis. So, अगर वो आपको पता ही नहीं है किस तरह की कोई चीज़ है और ना औरत को खुद पता है, अब बाहर के मुल्कों में एक रिक्वायरमेंट हो गई है आपकी कि जब आप अपने you get pregnant and you know you're seeing a doctor, they are required to tell you about postnatal depression so that you become aware कि भाई ये चीज़ हो सकती है और अगर होगी तो आपको क्या करना है, right? Similarly जैसे हमारे आम ज़बान में कहते हैं वहम की बीमारी है, इनको तो वहम की बीमारी है. अब वो वहम की बीमारी जो है वो ऑब्सेसिव कंपल्सिव डिसऑर्डर है जो कि ज़िंदगियाँ तबाह कर देती है लोगों की. I mean, अगर कोई 50 दफ़ा अपने हाथ धो रहा है या मुस्तकिल इसी चीज़ में लगा हुआ है कि कहाँ मेरा हाथ लग गया और यहाँ से मैं गंदा हो गया या उनको you know मेरे बच्चे अंदर ना आ जाएं गंदे पैरों के साथ और whatever, you know, this is something that can be treated. So why do we have people have to live with this?
Yeah.
Right? So it's again a question of awareness. It's a question of awareness of learning disability. I mean, you can just go on and on about mental health illness कि कितनी awareness की कमी है और उससे कितना ज़्यादा नुकसान है, क्योंकि वही वाली बात है कि अगर आप उसको जल्दी पकड़ लेते हैं किसी चीज़ को, ख़ास तौर पे बच्चों में, या जैसे एक औरत प्रेग्नेंट है और आपको मालूम है पोस्टनेटल डिप्रेशन का, तो आप ये सोचें कि अगर एक औरत डिप्रेस्ड है तो वो अपने बच्चे के साथ किस तरह रिलेट करेगी. एंड दैट इज़ द क्रूशल टाइम फॉर अ मदर एंड इन्फेंट टू बॉन्ड, एंड दैट मदर इज़ नॉट एबल टू डू दैट, नॉट बिकॉज ऑफ एनी फॉल्ट ऑफ हर्स, right?
And at the top of it, if your partner is not supportive or if there is still violence involved, so it just like makes it a mess, no?
It makes it a horrible mess. It makes it and you know the partner, even if they want to be supportive, maybe they just don't understand. They just don't understand what mental illness is, right? Or if they are violent, तो फिर तो बहुत और ज़्यादा चीज़ें complicate हो जाती हैं, because then it just deepens whatever the psychological problems are. They become worse, and a lot of times men will, you know, almost like dumping women in my office and saying, fix her. The issue is hers, you know, not looking at what they're contributing to the problem, because it's always the women's fault.
And when it comes to like the treatment of all of these जो mental disorders हैं, उसमें I understand that psychiatrists also prescribe medicines, right? So जो medicines होती हैं, एक तो ये कि I want to understand two things. एक तो ये कि when we start taking sleeping pills, for example,
Yes.
a lot of people get hooked to it.
Yes.
Or what I understand is that also you become addictive to taking those sleeping pills, and there is then that challenge कि उसको withdraw करना भी it's not easy, and it also makes you antisocial. It makes you feel terrible. So tell us a bit about, you know, जो ये Lexotanil or Alp or all these medicines that you take.
बिल्कुल. I think that's a really important point you've raised, because I feel like इसमें I would also hold physicians responsible. And of course, बहुत अच्छी बात है कि अब the chemists have become, the pharmacies have become much more vigilant about this. But, you know, 10 years back, you know, Xanax and Lexotanil were being given out like candies.
Yeah.
And a lot of women, or men as well, I mean, they take it like candy. They take it, I mean, I have people coming in saying, हम तो 20 साल से ये ले रहे हैं, हर रोज. Right? And you're right that what happens is that you get used to those medications, and you know, you start using more of them, you start relying on them. So everything then becomes, okay, let me just take a Xanax now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's not the way to solve your problems. And yes, Xanax and Lexotanil are good drugs. If they are used properly, right? And if you educate people that, look, I'm giving this to you, but I'm giving this to you for 5 days for this purpose, and then I'm not going to renew the prescription.
Because the addiction, I think it's called benzodiazepine addiction.
जी.
So आपको उसमें you feel जो उसके effects होते हैं, it just makes you more depressed, I guess, and it makes you more antisocial.
Well, it can make you more depressed, because it sort of calms you down. It sort of zones you out. So you're quite, जो भी आपको मसला होता है वो आपका समझते हैं ये हल हो गया, right? Yes, it can add to depression. For the elderly, it's especially dangerous, because and a lot of elderly, I'm afraid, use these things for sleeping. And हमें नींद नहीं आती तो हम खा लेते हैं. उसमें होता ये है कि because, you know, they often need to get up to go to the bathroom, they have taken Lexotanil or Xanax or whatever the benzodiazepine is, they are much more likely to fall, right? And of course that creates a whole, you know, sort of multitude of problems for them, कि, you know, टांग टूट गई है, कुछ और फ्रैक्चर हो गया है, कुछ हो गया, right? So I feel like उनके लिए तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि वो इस तरह की चीज़ें ना लें. और अगर कोई प्रिस्क्राइब कर रहा है तो बहुत केयरफुली प्रिस्क्राइब करें और उनको बताएं कि, you know, थोड़े से अरसे के लिए आपको दी जाएंगी, इसको टेपर करें. और ये भी होता है ना कि लोग कहते हैं हम अगर नहीं लेंगे तो बहुत मुश्किल हो जाती है, वी सडनली स्टार्ट गेटिंग withdrawal, you know. So there's a way to taper people off these medications.
Especially जिस तरह like कुछ लोगों को अगर blood pressure का, sugar का issue है, and they're addicted to taking these sleeping pills as well. And if they're not taking these enough, I'm not sure if this is linked to some sort of like panic attacks as well. Because I was, somebody was telling me कि in a panic attack, आपको लगता है कि आपको heart attack हो गया.
It's a mental health issue, condition, where the person feels like they are going crazy, they're having a heart attack, they're going to die. It's a very, very scary feeling. Their heart starts racing, their blood pressure will go up. So it's, you know, very stressful for them. And a lot of times people will end up in the emergency room. And emergency room में people will see them and they say कुछ भी नहीं है, you know, आपका heart भी ठीक है, blood, you know, कुछ और problem नहीं है आपको. And they'll give them a tranquilizer or something like that, and then they'll be okay, right? But when it happens, it's an extremely, extremely scary feeling, you know, because उसमें जो effects होते हैं वो actually physiological effects होते हैं.
Right.
आपके हाथ ठंडे होना शुरू हो जाते हैं, आपको पसीना आना शुरू हो जाता है, आपके हाथ कांपना शुरू हो जाते हैं आपके, you know, so you know, you do feel like you're going to die. So it's very not uncommon for people to end up in an emergency room after when they're having a panic attack.
And if there is a situation that has led to that situation कि आपको panic attack हो गया, तो you start avoiding that situation because you don't want to go through the same feeling again.
Sure.
And it also then it makes a lot of people antisocial as well. So as a practitioner, how do you sort of like make those people get back to routine, and how to make them understand how they can avoid certain situation? What sort of like remedy do you recommend to people who go through it?
So perhaps you're talking about in a way two different things, huh? So एक ये चीज़ होती है कि जब लोग trigger होते हैं किसी चीज़ से, right? You know, like for example, let's say that somebody has been through some incident where there was shooting, right, involved, and they kind of start getting very scared of going out and जैसे shopping mall में अगर हुआ है, so they will start avoiding that, right, and then they will develop a phobia of going out, and they will stop going out to shopping malls, or they'll start getting very scared of loud noises, right? So that kind of treatment is how you start educating them also, and trying to get them to see that how what happened then is not now, right? So there was something that happened, and that's a whole sort of way of treating people who have been through trauma, of trying to get them to see that that trauma has really in some ways created a conditioning in them, where every time there's a loud noise, they think that वही चीज़ हो गई है, and their body reacts that way. So to teach them to relax, to teach them to understand that was then, this is now, etc. जो पैनिक अटैक का सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम होता है वो ये होता है कि लोगों को उसके बारे में समझ नहीं आती. They really think of it as a physiological thing, as a medical issue, like in the sense of physical issue है ये, right? हमारे दिल में कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गया है, या हमारी दिमाग की नस फटने वाली है, or something like that, right? So you really have to educate them about कि पैनिक अटैक होता क्या है. और सबसे ज़्यादा मैं अक्सर अपने पेशेंट्स को कहती हूँ, पैनिक अटैक्स जो है ना वो एक बुली हैं. They're like bullies. जितना आप उससे डरोगे ना उतना ही ज़्यादा वो आपको अटैक करेगा, right? So the first thing you have to do is to recognize that this is a panic attack. I'm not going crazy. I'm not going to die. This will pass. And panic attacks, fortunately, do not last forever and ever. By definition, it's a limited time. और वो ख़त्म हो जाते हैं. लेकिन उस दौरान में लोग बहुत डरते हैं. So I think the idea is to educate them, and then to tell them, give them strategies कि अगर हो रहा है, सबसे पहले तो आप समझें कि hello panic attack, here you are again, right? I know you, I recognize you. So recognize your enemy, right? And then apply the strategies, of how do you relax yourself, how do you sort of distract yourself, what do you need to do to deal with it, and ultimately it passes. And once people have done that a couple of times, they know it'll pass.
Right.
So वो फिर वो इतनी intensity पकड़ता ही नहीं है, because they are immediately able to say, ये तो ख़त्म हो जाएगा थोड़ी देर में. Let me just go out and take a shower, or do something to relax myself, or watch a show or something like that, and then they are much more empowered. So I think a lot of the work that we do is really about empowering our patients with knowledge, with confidence, with that kind of feeling that ultimately the healing is within yourself. The answers are within yourself, right? So nobody else has your answers. You have them. So our job really is to help the person discover that. So they no longer need us.
And when it comes to remedies, I was like going through some of the TED Talks, and I got to know about, how psychedelics also help you sort of like overcome your mental disorders. It in some of the cases, it has helped a lot of people in reducing their depression as well. Jisme I think ketamine hai, then people talk about psychedelic mushrooms as well, and LSD, and all of these drugs that probably like back in 60s or 70s they were banned in America because it led to that hippie movement.
Right.
So tell us a bit about that. Despite I understand there isn't much research going on it, but what are your personal thoughts?
Yeah, well, in a way this is a really exciting kind of development in the field of mental health. Right? Because mental health में हमारे पास जो चीज़ें available हैं as far as medications go, they're not 100% effective. They also take time. They also have problems with them. So, one is always looking for better ways to help people. Because like we were talking, depression is a really crippling disease. And it affects a lot of people. And, as time goes by, mental health problems are increasing, and we need to, in the field of psychiatry, come up with new and innovative ways. So this whole thing about psychedelics is exciting. I think that, and certainly जो research हुई है, और research अब काफ़ी हो रही है, it does show कि वो anxiety के लिए, post traumatic stress disorder के लिए, some research is also in dementia कि उसमें भी help कर रहा है, depression के लिए help कर रहा है. So I think कि ये helpful हैं, but again, or ketamine, for instance, ketamine is the one drug that has been FDA approved for treatment-resistant depression.
Right.
So when you have tried different things and they have not worked, then ketamine is being recommended. But at this stage, I feel like वो ये field है, ये सारी research जो है वो अभी तक चल रही है, and so we don't quite have the answers. We don't quite know कि किस तरह हम सेफली ये चीज़ें दे सकते हैं, कितने डोज में देना है, कितना फ्रीक्वेंसी में देना है, और किस तरह देना है. Because it is also, we also have to be very cognizant of the fact that there are side effects. There are chances of misuse and abuse, right? And you can actually hurt someone by just prescribing something frivolously. Without taking the necessary precautions. Like, there are people who are using it in the States or prescribing it in the States, but then they have the expertise. They will stay with the patient. They will make sure कि कोई side effects ना हो. Like in high doses, अगर hallucinations होना शुरू हो जाते हैं, या people get panicky, or
or you can hurt yourself.
You can hurt yourself. So there has to be somebody who is watching you and monitoring you. Okay, everything is going smoothly, and you're getting the benefits that you're wanting them to have. So that's where we are in this. It's exciting, but it's early stages, right?
I keep hearing different stories from my friends ke kiske boss ne, like, how people are so cruel when they come to that position of power. And people are unfortunately stuck to work in the same organization, despite the fact it affects their mental health as well.
Absolutely.
So what advice would you give out to people जो कि एक तरह से एक vicious circle में फंसे हुए हैं, जिसमें वो job छोड़ भी नहीं सकते हैं, they hate their jobs, they are bullied by a lot of their colleagues, by their immediate bosses, but since they are also economically bound, that they cannot leave that job or that situation. So what should they do?
बहुत अच्छा सवाल है ये, क्योंकि जो आपने पावर वाली बात की ना, पावर really is terrible in a way. No, I take that back. Power is neither terrible nor good nor bad. Power is just neutral. It's how you use it that makes the difference, right? So, but a lot of people can't handle when they get into power positions. So they become intoxicated by it almost, right? And they use it badly. So people are in these situations, and you're right कि वो उनकी मजबूरी भी होती है, क्योंकि उन्हें काम भी करना होता है. इस सिलसिले में जब हम औरतों के साथ काम करते हैं, ख़ास तौर पे जैसे हरासमेंट के इश्यूज़ होते हैं ना, जो कि बहुत कॉमन है, तो हम ये कहते हैं कि 2-3 चीज़ें बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट हैं. एक तो अपने राइट्स के बारे में, एक तो ये आदमी को ये यकीन होना कि जो मेरे साथ हो रहा है वो सही नहीं हो रहा. I don't deserve to be treated like this. The first step is this, that kind of awareness. I don't deserve to be treated like this. This is wrong what is happening to me. Right? The second step then is to know your rights. ठीक है, आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में क्या कोई ऐसी पॉलिसीज़ हैं जिनमें आपके राइट्स हैं, आपको उनको मालूम होना चाहिए, राइट? कि ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में नहीं है तो हुकूमत के कोई ऐसे आपके मुल्क के कोई ऐसे लॉज हैं जहाँ पर आप अप्रोच कर सकते हैं आपके साथ अगर कोई गलत काम हो रहा है, राइट? द अदर थिंग इज़ टू sort of document कि ये चीज़ हुई, और टू शेयर विद पीपल दैट यू ट्रस्ट कि ये चीज़ हो रही है, ये तुम्हारे साथ भी हो रही है. बिकॉज यूजुअली एक इंसान के साथ नहीं हो रही थी, बहुत से लोगों के साथ हो रही होती है, एंड नंबर्स में देयर इज़ स्ट्रेंथ. So to find people who are like-minded, who you can trust, who you can share with, and again to document these things, to say this is how I was being treated. So and then of course you have to build up that courage to speak up. And again, it's very hard to say to somebody, this is what you should have done or you should do, because हर एक की अपनी different मजबूरियाँ होती हैं. लेकिन ये चीज़ें help करती हैं. बहुत से लोग समझते हैं कि वो कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते हैं. That is not true. Lot of women, for instance, they just feel like we have to put up with it, because अगर मैं घर जाके कहूँगी तो लोग कहेंगे हमने तो पहले ही कहा था तुम नौकरी मत करो, और अगर हम अपने जॉब पे कहेंगे तो लोग कहेंगे तुम्हें ने कुछ किया होगा, तुम ऐसे कपड़े क्यों पहन के आती हो, तुमने लिपस्टिक क्यों लगा ली, तुमने you must have done something to get this kind of behavior from the other man, right? So I think that is very important for them to know, no, this is not right, you should not be treated like this. So that confidence and that self-awareness of knowing that these are my rights. If I'm working here, I'm an employee, and as an employee, I have rights. I have the right to be respected, I have the right to be handled professionally, to be, treated well, to be given what is my, what I deserve, those kind of things. वो मालूम होना चाहिए आपको.
Yeah.
अपने आप को constantly helpless नहीं से देखना चाहिए.
Overall, like, what sort of advice would you give out to people who are who face a lot of things that we talked about, including the mental health issues and gender-based violence? What should they do? What should be what advice would you give out?
Well, I think the advice that I would give out mainly is that they need to reach out, that they need to know their self-worth, and to know that they are precious human beings, and they deserve a better life. They don't need to suffer in silence. So there are people available, there are helplines available. So reach out, you deserve that.
And the services that Rosen is providing, if somebody wants to reach out or avail those services, can you tell a bit about that?
Well, we have a helpline. We also have a program that deals with crisis. Crisis, अगर कोई crisis में है, they can reach out to Rosen. There are people available there. They will help them. अगर उनको shelter की ज़रूरत है, उनको legal help की ज़रूरत है, they will guide them. They will give them counseling. हमारी helpline है. That's it's not 7 days a week, but it's there 5 days a week. आप freely. It's nationwide. बहुत सी और helplines हैं. So reach out to them. The important thing is to reach out, to not give up on yourself.
So Dr. Amareen, thank you so much for your time. I am sure the conversation we had, उससे बहुत सारे लोग मुस्तफ़ीद होंगे, और I hope you join us again. And there are like a lot of things that we can still talk about. So I hope you join us soon again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.